No dramatic event, no crisis, no sudden twist of fate or movie-worthy moment. Just the kind of day you barely remember a week later. Just one random day. That changed my life forever. It started like any other, with the world waking up outside my window and me, still half asleep, wondering if today would be any different from yesterday. Those days when everything just blurs together, when the faces, the places, the hours all melt into one long, endless loop. That was me. Alarm rings. I barely opened my eyes, already dreading the routine ahead. I hit snooze, shower, emails, meetings, lunch at my desk, commute home, zone out. The same playlist, the same faces, the same tired feeling at the end of the day. It was like living on autopilot, just going through the motions. Just another workday on repeat. The kind of day you could copy and paste 100 times and never notice the difference. But on this particular day, somewhere between the meetings and the mindless scrolling, I caught myself staring out the window. The city was buzzing, but I felt strangely still, almost invisible in the middle of it all. Out of nowhere, this question slipped into my mind, quiet but impossible to ignore. It was like a whisper that cut through all the noise. Is this really what I want my life to be about? Am I just existing, or am I actually living? The question echoed, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't have an answer. That single, quiet moment, it hit me harder than any big life event. It was like the world paused, just for a second, and I could finally hear my own thoughts. No lightning bolt, just a spark. A tiny flicker of curiosity, of hope, that maybe things could be different. If you've ever had that nagging question in the back of your mind, that restless feeling you can't quite name, you know what I mean. If you've ever wondered where your life is really going, hit subscribe, because you're not alone in asking. Let's figure this out together. Here's what happened next, and maybe you'll see a bit of yourself in my story. For weeks I couldn't shake that feeling. It followed me everywhere, on my commute, in the shower, even as I tried to fall asleep at night. I started noticing things, little things, the way the morning light hit my coffee mug, the sound of laughter from a stranger, the quiet moments between tasks. Like how some days drained me and others energized me. I realized my energy wasn't just about sleep or caffeine, it was about what I was doing and who I was doing it with. I realized I wasn't miserable, I wasn't falling apart. But I wasn't truly happy either, I was just okay. But I wasn't fulfilled either. There was a quiet emptiness, a sense that something important was missing. I started to question, what would a life of meaning actually look like for me? What would it feel like to wake up excited, to go to bed content? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, somewhere along the way, I'd stopped living with intention. I was letting life happen to me instead of shaping it myself. I drifted from my purpose. Not because of one big decision, but because of 1,000 tiny ones I never really made. It wasn't some big, dramatic shift. It was the slow, silent drift of routine, of comfort, of not asking myself what I really wanted. It was subtle, quiet, like a gentle tide pulling me away from the shore I once stood on. But it was real, and it was enough to make me want to change. So I decided to start small. I paid attention. I reflected. I gave myself permission to be curious about what might make me feel alive again. I tried things that made me feel alive again. I started creating. I let myself play, experiment, and fail without judgment, sharing, learning. I reached out to others, listened to their stories, and realized how many people felt the same way. And slowly that tiny spark from an ordinary day grew into something so much bigger. It became a quiet fire, a sense of purpose that started to guide my choices. If you're ready to live more intentionally, comment below with "I'm ready." Let's take that first step together, no matter how small. Let's build this together. Because finding purpose isn't a solo journey. It's something we discover in community, in conversation, in connection. Looking back, that's how Purpose and Fulfillment Stories was born. From a single question, a single spark, and a willingness to share the journey. Not from a crisis, but from a simple question on a day that looked just like any other. The kind of day you might be having right now. I realized, sometimes the day that feels the most normal is the day your purpose begins to awaken. It doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be real. If you're waiting for some big sign, maybe just pause and notice the questions you're already asking yourself. The answers might be closer than you think. Subscribe if you're ready to start noticing what really matters. Let's pay attention to the small moments, the quiet sparks, and see where they lead. I'm Babs, and this is your journey to meaning. Let's take the next step together.